Today is one of those days in the Adirondack Mountains where Monday it was in the 90s, today it's 46 degrees. It's what happens here. Gonna do feed the chickens. It's Friday, so gonna feed the chickens. Do my Friday routine here at the powerhouse. Um, in here I just got scraps. We got some pizza scraps. There's some zucchini. Don't even know what this is. Wife said take that, so I did. Looks like some ground up hamburger. Um, but I feed this to the hens. Hens will eat anything. Yeah, chicken will eat anything. But I feed table scraps to the hens because they're producing eggs that we're consuming. It's all right. The meat birds don't get that because we're raising them strictly for meat, so we want to protect what they eat. The grains that I feed them are from Poulin Grains or Poulin Mills out of Vermont. I choose that simply because it's a northeastern market. I think the grains, in my mind, that are here are native to here, so the birds would do better because they live here. That's where the grain comes from. That's where they're at. So that's my thought. Follow along. We'll we'll send it out, let them eat up, and get out. One of the questions I get asked a lot is what do we do when it gets cold here with the chickens? Generally, our temperatures stay in the wintertime. They'll drop to 26, 28 below. Occasionally, we'll see 30, maybe 35 below. But chickens generally stay warm themselves. Cold temperatures does not bother them. They're more into being affected by the heat. So the heat is hard on chickens. The laying production dropped drastically through the last warm spell. Over the last week, we were getting 8 to 10 eggs a day. As it cools down, I would suspect that tomorrow, with the cooler temperatures today, that we'll see probably 18 eggs maybe. Although the flock is getting older, my flock is 3 years old on the layers. Uh, those are red comets. Most of those, the red ones are red comets. They're a mass production egg chicken. Um, they they lay up to 300 eggs a year. So if you want eggs, those are the chickens you want to get. They go by different names, different breeders. You call them something else, but they're all the same. The rooster is believe it or not, he came as a meat bird. You can buy at some of the hatcheries sell uh, day one chickens, and he was one that I bought for $1. Raised him up. He was the only one that survived the first flock. So I said, well, I just can't get rid of him. And he turned out to be a pretty good rooster. He's kind of crazy at times, but he does all right. The black ones, the Buff Orpingtons, and the Easter eggers, the multicolored grayer ones of Easter eggers, they came from a friend of ours who was moving and had a flock and asked us to take care of them or take them. So we took them, and they've been doing okay here. It takes a little bit to integrate them. There is a pecking order. We know who's in charge. Generally, that's the loudest one. But I'm going to go ahead and feed the meat birds right here, and I'll get right back to you. Okay, look out, look out. Easy. Wow. Not that they're hungry. That's what they do. They eat. They can't wait to eat. That's all they do is eat, you know. They're nuts. Chickens, by the way, I put them away every night. So every night about dusk, I come down and herd them up, and you can herd some chickens and put them away. They'll actually go in the coop. If it's later, they'll be in the coop. You just close the door and they're good for the night. Everybody gets locked up at night because that's when the predators are really out. But there's a but. Chickens are like watching kindergartners. If one decides that wants to come out of the coop and get a drink before it goes to bed, everybody comes out of the coop and gets a drink before they go to bed. If one decides they're not going to go in and go to bed, the rest of them decide they're not going to go in and go to bed. So they're like kids. They're crazy. All right, I'm going to let the young chicks out and let them roam around. The Buff Orpington is already standing here looking at them like, where are you guys and why aren't you out? So I'm going to have to move you so I can do that because you will be dropped.